Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Can two people completely disagree with one another and still respect each other? Or have we reached a point where disagreeing with someone's opinion is too often taken as disagreeing with the person? Welcome to The Social Edge. I'm Amanda Holmstrom, founder and director of Silver Rose & Co. Every week on The Social Edge, we'll be taking a closer look at the social side of life. Sometimes we'll talk about etiquette and emotional intelligence. Sometimes we will explore culture, traditions, confidence, communication, belonging, and the everyday interactions that shape our relationships. This is a place to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and discover how the changes that make a real difference in the way we connect with people around us. So let's begin with today's question. Can we still disagree respectfully? Joining me today is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck.
Hi, Amanda. Thanks for having me on your show.
Dr. Jacalyn, welcome to The Social Edge. Thank you for joining us again. It's always great to have you.
It's a pleasure, and I'm so happy that you're doing the show and bringing these topics to the world.
Dr. Jacalyn, when you have a conversation with someone and you don't agree with what their opinion is, do you feel like you're disagreeing with the person themselves or with just their opinion? And can you still have a conversation with them?
First of all, I can definitely have a conversation with them because it happens all the time that people have different views than I have, but they never know how I feel. They still don't know how I feel because I have the tagline, the listening mentor. That's my moniker, that I listen. So for me to start judging what people are saying, I wouldn't be listening anymore, and I would be going against everything I created for elevated listening. So when someone has a difference of opinion, I feel that I'm not disagreeing with the person. I'm disagreeing with whatever that opinion is. But I typically will not make it known about how I feel.
That's really, really interesting, actually, because a lot of people feel like they have to answer back. If they don't agree, they feel like they have to challenge what the person is saying instead of listening to what the person is saying and going, okay, I don't disagree, but that's an interesting thought that you have. Can you explain it further? Or trying to have the conversation and go, okay, I see that. I understand what you're saying. I feel this, without coming across as challenging them. So I do like your theory about just listening to them, letting them have their say. But I'm curious then, would you then follow that up by going, well, I don't disagree with everything you say, but here's my thoughts? Or would you just try and change the subject if you didn't agree with it?
I think it depends on the situation. I teach listening skills for part of what I do as a living, and I have to exhibit and I have to demonstrate that I'm living by the things that I'm teaching. I don't have this urge that I feel like I have to one up someone or that I have to be right. If I'm in a coaching capacity and I'm being hired and paid to give direction or guidance or feedback, that's a different story. But if I am just out in the world and people are sharing things that I don't agree with them, I typically will not say anything unless someone asks me for my opinion. But I will not give my opinion about their opinion. I will give my own opinion if it seems to be relevant or needed. What I feel is going on so often in the world is two people have completely different views, and neither one of them is open to hearing how and why the other person feels the way they do. So their whole body language exhibits the fact that they're uncomfortable. They're tensing up. They're waiting to pounce as soon as the person stops speaking so they can jump in and say, you are wrong, and this is why you're wrong. And it doesn't serve any purpose, because what you're doing is you're putting this wall between you and the other person. And so to me, I'd rather hear people's opinions and tell me more about that. How did you come to that decision? Or what's the motivation behind what you're sharing? Because now I'm actually learning something. But by just saying you're wrong, I don't agree with you, that doesn't add any value. And so, especially in personal relationships, when people are doing this, they are putting themselves on opposite sides. It's almost like you're in a boxing ring and you're coming for each other. It's, what do you have next? Yeah, let me have it. You just can't wait to beat the other person up. And at the end of the day, you go back to your corners and both of you are miserable.
You've hit that one spot on. And I completely agree with it. And I see that in my own relationships. And you're absolutely, it happens in friendships, in families, in any personal and business work relationships. You disagree enough and you come back at them enough that they feel attacked, and that wall goes up. Some of the worst strong disagreements that I've had with my husband are because we do just that. Neither of us is listening to each other. And so we're not communicating properly. We're not listening to what the other person is trying to say. We're just trying to get our side across at the detriment of listening and understanding their point of view and letting them say it. And then those walls go up. You're absolutely right. And it's really hard once those walls go up for them to come down. Because sometimes you'll be feeling attacked or like you're not being heard. And the hurt that can cause is not easy to overcome.
Very true. And when you're in a long-term relationship with someone, this is just for anyone out in watching the public domain, it starts to build and build and build. And sometimes you get to a point where it's almost impossible to have peace and coexist peacefully. Instead of, one of the greatest examples I remember, I'm not going to say the name of the couple, but he was one political party, she was another political party, and they made it work because they basically shared their feelings about, well, why do you believe this and why do you believe that? And then they learned something from each other. But what I found is it's an ego trip. I've got to be right because you're wrong. And when I tell you how wrong you are, I make you feel like I don't care. You're now less than. You are less than me. So hip, hip, hooray for me. I win. But what did I win? And I won at what cost? I won at the cost of hurting someone that I truly care about because I am all about my ego and putting points on the board and making you realize how much more intelligent I am than you. And so that's what we do. Or how much better, or more fit, or how much more money, or whatever it is. It's one person has more and then the other person has less. And so if you think about it, you go through the relationship like this, and this person's really resenting this person, and this person can be resenting this person because they feel like they're carrying the whole load. So you have two very unhappy people who can't communicate.
That's so true. And unfortunately, it's really hard to get communication to open back up after that. You'll have the one party that normally will come going, look, I am very sorry that I wasn't hearing you. Can we discuss this again? And the other person's going, what's the point? You're not going to listen again. You're just going to want to get your point across no matter what. So you're right, I'm wrong. And everything closes down then. And it doesn't open up easily. And I do think that we're seeing more of that happening in many kinds of relationships. And I have to wonder if that's because there's so much more available for us to disagree on these days with social media, right? You've got everything right there in your face all the time. And there's a lot of different information out there, and it's not all correct, and it's not all worth looking at. And a lot of people will watch something and go, oh, that is so true, even if it was an AI made commercial and has no right information. And then they'll go into these conversations with, no, you're wrong. I saw this and this. Do you think that because there's so much social media, that's causing more people to not listen and not be able to communicate respectfully?
I think that social media has a lot of value. I mean, we're on a lot of places that we're streaming, but we're also streaming on social media. And that's how a lot of people have found out about us over the years. So I've personally learned a lot on social media. I also know there's a lot of social media that is AI, that is not fact checked, that's not verified. But I think when we say overall about social media can be something that's beneficial, or it can be a distraction. And before social media, it was mainstream television. Oh, you watch too much TV. You're always watching TV. To me, they're excuses, because we have to be able to be accountable and responsible for how we're spending our time. So let's say you and I are in a relationship, and I'm not listening to you because I'm on social media, and you see him on social media, but it's actually more than that. It's that I'm not showing you the respect because I probably don't respect myself. If I respect myself, then I'm going to treat other people with respect, which is part of the reason why I don't feel like I have to one up someone, or that I have to let other people know what I'm thinking. And for example, on this network, we have a lot of different TV shows, right? We cover a lot of topics. There are plenty of topics I don't agree with, and I'm producing the show. Nobody knows, because it doesn't matter. I'm a professional person. I respect myself. I respect the people that come here, and I want to hear what it is they have to say. But when we make it all about us, like we're the only ones whose opinion matters, then that is in the ego. That is not in the heart.
I really do like that. And you're right. The ego, people, I find that a lot when I'm dealing with older children, is they come in with these attitudes and these egos that are still developing. They've heard something, or they've read something, or they've overheard a conversation, and they have partial information. But they come in with these young egos and this new budding confidence that they can take on the world, and they're right. They're always right because they know what they're talking about. Adults too. I've been in conversations where I'm positive I'm right. I know what I'm talking about. But because I'm actually usually, and it's not always, unfortunately, I'm usually willing to listen. I love listening to other people's opinions and their thoughts on things, because I can learn something. And I always find it interesting to see another point of view on a topic. But you butt heads with some of these people, these young kids, these young teenagers, and they haven't quite learned yet that there's different opinions and different ways to look at any subject. So it's having to teach them that it's okay to have their opinion, but listen to what the other person's saying, because you can still learn. And that's not easy. That ego is not an easy thing to get around some days, which is why it's important, I think, to hit that learning curve early. Talk to your kids about listening. And that is something that I teach in classes. And it's always fun having that discussion with younger kids, because they're like sponges. They just want to take everything in. And they're more than willing to listen to all the different points of view. And then they're going to go out and they're going to start talking about this. And they're going to start going, oh, they'll go home and ask, well, Mom, today we were talking about this. Do you know what this is? And it's a great chance to have a conversation and learn another point of view, because they're learning how to listen and how to have a respectful conversation. And I think that is so important. But it does make me wonder, are we losing that ability to have a conversation because everyone is so quick to take offense? And unfortunately, you see it quite a bit at the moment whenever politics come up, or religion, or any of the topics that really should never come up in public conversation. People get so defensive so quickly that it's really hard to have a conversation. And the moment you disagree with them, it's as if you've attacked them, and they close up and they go on the complete defensive. Have you found that, Dr. Jacalyn, dealing with as many people as you do in the different fields? Do you find that conversations closing off a little bit?
I would say not really, and I'll tell you why. I've done a lot of keynote speeches. I hope to do more. When you are up in front of the public, people at some point will get the opportunity to answer questions. And you don't know what those questions are. And if you are up on stage and you are taking a position or an attitude where I know everything, I'm the almighty, I'm being paid to be here and speak, and you will listen to me, then you're going to miss out on building that engagement with the audience. And so I'm always very humble and open. Yeah, what do you have for me? What are your questions? I'm like, oh, what's it going to be? Like, what are they going to ask me? How dare you ask that? Do you know who I am? No, you can't be like that. And that's how we are in conversations. We already have our backup. Do you know what my certificate's in? Do you know what my degrees are in? Do you know? Who cares? We're people, we're humans. So how I approach a conversation is, I'm not there to prove anything. If you want to have a conversation and you want to tell me that you're for something, okay, and in my mind, I'm totally against it, I'm going to be interested in why you're for it. Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. Let me hear what it is you have to say. There's really not much that I am so steadfast that I can't listen to other topics. Now, obviously, things that are illegal, drugs, etc. No, you're not going to change my mind. And I can give you my opinion all day about why I feel that way. But the other thing I want to share is, and then I know we're coming up on a break, is for me, what I found is, if I'm speaking with someone who's in the media industry, or someone who has worked on themselves through personal and professional development, that is a conversation that's going to be very different than if I speak to someone in the general population. And what I mean by that is, people will ask me a question about myself, and then when I go to answer, it happens again and again. They're just not listening. They don't care. I can see they don't care. So now my answer is very short and concise, because I know I'm not going to be investing time in this conversation, but I'm not trying to get them to understand what I do or to support me or do this or do that. I just have decided I'm not investing my time. I'm not judging the person, but every relationship has to be two-way, give and take. And if one person's always doing the taking, that is not a healthy relationship, and it's not one that's going to bring joy.
So true. And I can think of a ton of my own situations that mirror what you were talking about perfectly. But for now, it's the perfect chance for us to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to continue talking about, can we still disagree respectfully? We'll see you after the break.
People are searching for experts every day. Are they finding you, or are they finding someone else? Every day, professionals are building authority through media. We've already built the platform. USA Global TV and Radio. Over 14,000 shows streamed to over 60 countries. This isn't about becoming famous. It's about leverage, visibility, credibility, opportunity. One interview, one conversation, one show, repurposed into content, connection, and business growth. Most people assume hosting a TV show requires a studio, a production team, and a massive budget. Our television packages begin at $1,500 US per month. Professional production, global distribution, replay visibility, built for voices with something to say. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and if this resonates with you, we should talk. USA Global TV and Radio, all rights reserved. Contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com.
Welcome back to The Social Edge. Today we're asking, can we still disagree respectfully? Before the break, Dr. Jacalyn and I were asking what happens when two people see things differently and what gets in the way of us having a respectful conversation. But disagreement isn't limited to the big issues. It happens in our families, in our friendships, our workplaces, and online. And sometimes it's over something important, and sometimes it's over something incredibly small. So what determines whether that disagreement becomes a healthy conversation or turns into an argument? I'd like to bring back Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck and continue our conversation.
Hello. I'm really
Hi,
enjoying
Doctor.
this.
It's an interesting topic. It's not as easy a topic as I thought it would be to discuss. There's a lot of little things to think about that I had not actually given any thought to before we started discussing this.
I feel like as humans, there's so many things that are distracting us from moving forward. And most people will spend their time thinking about what they do not have instead of what they do have. And so it's the same approach when you think about relationships. When you believe in yourself and you're at a place of peace and you're in gratitude, you're thankful for what you have. I have found personally that I am not in competition with anyone. The only one I have to satisfy is myself. I have to make sure that I am comfortable in my own skin. And of course, I believe in God. So I want to be respectful and be appreciative for all that I have. But when we don't like ourselves and we're not in a good place, anything can set us off. And so knowing that someone feels differently than how you feel is the perfect reason. It's the perfect place to start with, let's have an argument. Because I already don't like myself. I'm already unhappy with where I am in my life, and I'm going to blame it on you. If I wasn't with you, if I wasn't in this situation, I could be doing X, Y, and Z. But what we forget is we always have a choice. We always have a choice. And sometimes we tell ourselves stories that I don't have any options. There are no options. So coming back to what you just said and then bringing it to a close on this point, to me, When you are comfortable in your own skin, you don't have to one up someone. You don't have to steal the stage and make it about yourself. You can just be there in gratitude, grateful for the fact that you're sharing how you feel about something.
Dr. Jacalyn, that actually is it brings up a lot of memories for me on what you've just said, because you're right. Not feeling good about yourself, being angry, it doesn't help you have that conversation or have you open enough to be able to respect each other's thoughts and opinions. I grew up in a household that was not the most stable. There was a lot of fighting and a lot of other things going on that, as a child, it made me grow up to be quite angry. I held a lot of anger, and because of things going on, I really had almost no self-confidence. I was very insecure. If somebody had asked me if I was going to be anything when I grew up, I probably would have gone, no, I'm not worthwhile to become anything. And I was lucky enough that I had some very special people that I learnt quite early from them, from my grandparents, that you have to listen to have a conversation. And they always listened to everything we had to say. And then when I lost them, unfortunately, I was still quite young. And that added to the anger, because then all of a sudden I had no one speaking for me in my corner. And all those doubts and all the hate that was being pushed towards the children in my household bubbled up, and I couldn't have a conversation. You're absolutely right. I could not have a conversation with someone because I couldn't see beyond my own hurt and my own frustration and self-doubt. And it wasn't until we had moved cities and I met a girl who had just moved as well. And we've been lifelong friends, but it wasn't until I met her parents. And her dad is this tall man with this big personality. And to be honest, he scared me to no ends. He's a big teddy bear, but scared me to no ends. And it wasn't until I'd actually started spending more time with this family, and his message was getting through to me about that I needed to stop. And I needed to think before I was talking, and I needed to not just react, and I needed to listen. And because I was able to learn that in a more stable home where they cared about me enough, that it started breaking through those barriers that I was putting up, that I could actually have a conversation. And I could start listening to another person's point of view, because I wasn't so angry that my own frustration and my own dislike wasn't getting in the way. I could actually overcome it a little bit to listen. And that was followed again by a grade 9 teacher that the rules and the lessons that I learned in her class were all about listening and caring for each other and having the time to actually look at a situation and understand what was going on before jumping in and going, oh, I know everything and I can answer this. Think about your answers. And think about what you're going to say before it comes out of your mouth, because once it's out, it can't be taken back. And from those people, I learned very much. And it wasn't until I became an adult that I could start going, I don't need to prove myself. I have people who think I'm worthwhile to listen to. And I had to get rid of that little voice that was all the negative things I'd heard as a child. And I had to get rid of that hurt and that anger and that self-doubt to be able to finally say, I don't have anything to prove. I have a right to an opinion, but so does everyone else. And the best way that I can help someone, and that's everything I do for a living now, comes down to what can I do for other people? What can I make it so that they feel listened to and they feel like they're worthwhile, that I can help them, is that I can listen and I can respect that they have an opinion, even if I don't agree, but I can respect it enough that I don't have to argue it with them. But that takes a long, long time to learn. But I agree completely with you on that one. And that's something I hope most people can learn. But do you think that's a lesson that we need to learn early, Dr. Jacalyn, or is it something that we constantly learn as we grow?
And thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate that. I think that first of all, there has to be an awareness of how we are showing up and what we are feeling, because we can carry that around from when we're children and we push it down. We don't know what to do with it. It shows up in many different ways. If you think about it, and I've seen this happen many times in my life, there will be some horrific killing. Let's say straight out murder. One person kills another person. And you see in the courtroom at the hearing where they're going to make a decision about if this person is going to get the death penalty, whatever the case is going to be. And you see the father, the mother, the brother, their sister, somebody who lost this person who was killed randomly. And they get up and they say, I forgive you. One of the worst things that can happen in their life, and they are forgiving this person. That doesn't mean they have to like the person. That doesn't mean they have to forget about what happened, but they've decided to forgive them, whether it's their faith. But when you don't forgive and you hold on, it works against you. Because I know of people who had things happen in their past. They didn't work on any healing. They were really in a state of denial. And so someone had done something to them. And what they ended up doing to themselves manifested over and over again. So there's an incident of something that happens, and then the way they handled it made it much worse, if that's even possible. And sometimes we can't get out of our own way. So part of my training, in addition to my education, is as a peace ambassador. And as a peace ambassador, if you think about people who are in states, countries that are at war, how do you bring one side to meet with the other side when there's so much hatred? The only way through is to listen to each other and what you each have to say.
Very true. We need to listen to be able to communicate. And we need to communicate to understand so that we can have that respect for each other. And I think that is one of the most important things to remember, is that we need to listen. But Dr. Jacalyn, I want to say thank you so much for joining me today on The Social Edge. And before we say goodbye, do you want to let people know how they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So for anyone out there, you saw at the break, if you were here, that if you're interested in having your own TV show, we'd love to hear from you. We don't take everyone. Sorry. We're very selective because we've built up a platform that is really about world-class education and giving back. And if you are someone who's interested in learning how to listen, I have a number of books that are available on Amazon. I think I have 28 books or so. And I'm more than happy to be available for keynote speeches as well. All of my information you can find on our website, usaglobaltv.com. Thank you very much, Amanda. You're doing a fantastic job, and I really appreciate it. I love this topic.
It was a very good topic, but thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn. It was a pleasure as always.
Thank you.
If you would like to subscribe to our 2 YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, to fantastic channels with lots of different shows and content, and we'd love for you to subscribe. If there is one thought that I can leave you with today, it's this. Respectful disagreement doesn't mean that we have to agree. Doesn't mean we'll change our minds or pretend that our differences don't matter. It means remembering that there is still a person on the other side of the conversation. Perhaps this week, when you find yourself disagreeing with someone, before you respond, ask yourself, am I listening because I want to understand? I want to understand what this person is saying or what they mean? Or am I simply waiting for my turn to prove them wrong? We may not always find common ground, and some disagreements may never be resolved. But perhaps respect isn't measured by whether we agree. Perhaps it's measured by how we treat one another when we don't. Thank you for joining me on The Social Edge. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe to the YouTube channels mentioned earlier. I'm Amanda Holmstrom, and I'm the founder of Silver Rose & Co. And if you'd like to learn more or to contact me, please visit my website at silverroseco.ca or find me on LinkedIn under Amanda Holmstrom. Silver Rose & Co. can also be found on Facebook, WhatsApp, and YouTube. And keep an eye out. I am soon to have my first book published called A Sleepover at Grandma and Grandpa's, and all about the fun that is had during a weekend spent in a home full of love and fun and conversations and lots of tea. If you have an idea for a future Social Edge episode, please visit the website and email me. And if you'd like to be a future guest on The Social Edge, please go to the USA Global TV and Radio website and fill out the registration form. Our next episode will air on Monday, August 31st at 8 p.m. Until then, thank you for joining us. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time on The Social Edge.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacalyn.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, We're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.